So what does our brain do while we sleep? How many of you have ever had a dream that seemed so real? You felt like you were right there in the middle of it, experiencing everything with every sense that you have. And when you wake up, you feel as if the dream you just had really happened. Well, it's not surprising because those kinds of dreams are actually more common than you think. And they can be simple or complex. They can make you happy or sad. And sometimes they can even scare the living daylights out of you. But have you ever wondered why you have them? What is going on in your head when you're fast asleep? What are dreams anyway? Are they just random images that pop into your head when you're sleeping? Or do they mean something more? Now, I know this might sound like a question for a philosopher, but it turns out that scientists have been trying to figure this out for a long time, too, and they've come up with some pretty interesting theories. In fact, scientists have been studying dreams for decades, and they've come up with some pretty interesting theories. Now, I don't want to bore you with all the technical stuff, but basically, they've found that when you're sleeping, your brain goes through different stages. These stages are marked by changes in the way your brain waves, which are patterns of electrical activity in your brain. Look, when scientists see these brain waves, they can tell what stage of sleep you're in, and it turns out that dreams happen during one of these stages called REM sleep. Okay, let me explain. There are two main types of dreams that happen during these stages. One type happens during REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement, and the other type happens during NREM sleep, which stands for non-rapid eye movement. Now, REM sleep is when most of your dreaming happens. Your eyes move quickly from side to side under your eyelids, and your brain becomes very active. It's almost like you're wide awake. Your heart rate and breathing also become faster and more regular. This is the stage where you're most likely to have those crazy, sometimes scary, sometimes super exciting dreams. Dreams where you might be running from something, flying through the air, or maybe hanging out with some old friends. On the other hand, NREM dreams, they're different. They usually aren't as crazy or exciting as REM dreams. They're more like those boring, sometimes weird dreams where you're falling or taking a test you didn't study for. Those dreams are less vivid, they're shorter, and they often don't make much sense. But here's the kicker. Even though we all experience dreams pretty much every night, we still don't fully understand why exactly we dream. It's like this big mystery that scientists are still trying to solve. One theory, just one theory, says that dreams are our brain's way of making sense of all the stuff we experience during the day. Like imagine you had a really busy day. You went to work, hung out with friends, maybe learned something new, and experienced a bunch of different emotions along the way. Well, at night when you're sleeping, your brain is working hard to process all of that. It's sorting through all the new information you encountered during the day, making connections and storing it all away for future reference. And dreams, they might be part of that process. So in a way, dreams could be like your brain's way of organizing all the daily stuff. It's like your brain is creating these little stories or scenarios in your dreams to help you make sense of everything you experienced that day. Another theory, and this one is kind of interesting, suggests that dreams are all about emotions. You see, when we're awake, we experience a ton of emotions every day. We get happy, sad, angry, excited, and everything in between. Well, it turns out that our brains process these emotions in a very particular way. When we feel an emotion, our body reacts to it. Our heart beats faster, we breathe more quickly, and even our hormones change. Now, when we dream, our brains go through similar emotional changes. For example, if we're having a nightmare, our brains react in the same way as if we were experiencing a scary situation while awake. Our heart rate goes up, we might break out in a sweat, and our breathing becomes more rapid. So basically, this theory suggests that dreams are kind of like a way for our brains to process emotions. They help us sort through all the feelings we experience during the day and make sense of them. It's like our brains are creating these little emotional roller coasters in our dreams to help us work through all the ups and downs of the day. And then there's this idea that dreams are like a special language that our brains use to communicate with us. Think about it. When we dream, we often use symbols and metaphors to represent things in our waking lives. For example, maybe you often dream of being chased by a dog. Well, in real life, dogs usually symbolize loyalty and friendship. So maybe your brain is trying to tell you that you value loyalty and friendship in your relationships. Or maybe you often dream of flying. In real life, flying is often a symbol of freedom and independence. So maybe your brain is trying to tell you that you're craving more freedom and independence in your life. It's like our brains are speaking this secret language of symbols and metaphors to try and get us to pay attention to certain things in our lives. But dreams aren't just a way for our brains to process stuff or express stuff to us. They're also a way for us to practice and prepare for stuff. Like let's say you're a musician and you're learning a new song. You might practice the song over and over again until you get it just right. Well, dreams work in a similar way. When we dream, we often find ourselves in different situations and we have to figure out how to deal with them. For example, maybe in a dream you're giving a presentation to a huge crowd. In that situation, you might have to think on your feet and come up with a solution to whatever problem comes up. Or maybe in a dream, you're lost in a strange place. In that situation, you might have to be creative and figure out how to find your way home. By practicing and preparing for different situations in our dreams, we're better able to handle them in real life. It's like our brains are giving us a safe space to practice and get better at dealing with the ups and downs of life. Now, one last thing that's really fascinating about dreams is that they often repeat themselves. Have you ever had a dream that you've had multiple times? Maybe you're always late for an important event and you're running to get there. Or maybe you keep taking tests that you haven't studied for. Well, dreams like these are called recurring dreams, and they often point to something in our waking lives that we need to pay attention to. For example, if you keep dreaming about being late for something, it might mean that you're feeling rushed or stressed in your waking life. Or if you keep dreaming about taking tests you haven't studied for, it might mean that you're worried about your performance in school or at work. Basically, recurring dreams are like our brain's way of getting our attention and telling us that there's something we need to work on. Now, unfortunately, science doesn't have all the answers when it comes to dreams. We still don't fully understand why we dream or what it all means. But that's part of what makes dreams so fascinating. They're this mysterious, magical part of our lives that we still haven't figured out. Who knows what secrets they're hiding? Maybe one day we'll unlock the mysteries of dreams and understand why they're so important to our lives. But until then, we'll just have to keep dreaming and wondering. So now I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this topic? Have you ever had a dream that seemed really important or meaningful to you? If so, share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to stay in the loop and catch our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.